But anyway, so good evening, and thanks, Judy, and thanks to the Enoch Pratt Free Library for hosting this launch event for my friend Eric. I've known Eric D. Goodman for 12 years. And how do I know that? I know that because of the following evidence. Eric was part of the first group of writers that City Lit Project ever enlisted as being part of a writer's workshop held back in the fall of 2005 at the Creative Alliance. This is the first time. Eric claims that he might have met me the previous fall at the City Lit stage at the Baltimore Book Festival, but Eric was one of the first 9 or 10 writers to take a workshop that City Lit was sponsoring and teaching at the Creative Alliance.
There's not as much gray in that picture.
What's that?
There's not as much gray in that picture.
Well, just you wait. There's not much length, gray, or anything. You get to keep all these. The following spring in 2006, we actually hosted a reading of the inaugural workshop's writers, also at the Creative Alliance. And this is a little flyer that we made out featuring Eric. And then there's Eric Goodman, along with some other people in the room, who were featured at that very first reading. And I can pass these around while Eric's reading. So you can all see how much we've aged. Then, in 2008, we actually published an anthology of all the writing that was done from the first couple classes of the workshops that City Lit sponsored. And then there's Eric. Look at that one. Look at that shaggy mane. Look at that shaggy mane. And this was actually at the City Lit Festival in 2008, which we again hosted with the Pratt Library at the adjacent building in the old Maryland room. And there's Eric and me, looking both a lot younger and definitely Eric a lot hairier than we are now. Then in 2011, Eric published a novel, Tracks. And he promoted it at the City Lit Festival that year, and really getting out there into the public with his work, just like every author needs to do. And meanwhile, over the years, Eric attended the readings by the what I like to call the master writers that City Lit featured, often in partnership with the Pratt Library. And this is a picture of Eric in the crowd listening to George Saunders read in 2013. So I will pass these artifacts around now. Sorry, of Eric Goodman through the years.
Now, isn't that supposed to be a PowerPoint?
Yeah, well, I didn't know I was going to have the large screen, so I went analog tonight. And I share these old pictures of Eric, not to just embarrass him, which of course I meant to do, but to also offer proof that, in my opinion, Eric is the real deal. He takes his work seriously, he works hard, learns from others, and becomes an active part of the artistic community. So much so that Eric and co-curators started their own reading series called Lit and Art, which has been presenting writers, visual artists, and musicians since 2007. And right from the start, Eric knew the importance of giving back, which in my opinion defines a true artist. Now tonight we are here to support you, Eric, and celebrate the publication of Womb, a novel in utero. Womb has already been called, quote, utterly unique, quote, wild, wacky, and engagingly original, and, quote, an innovative look into the inner space. And you'll soon hear why. So it's my absolute pleasure to present not only my friend Eric, but a hell of a fine writer, but someone who I think defines the hard work and the talent necessary to be a successful writer of fiction in this day and age. My friend, the author of Womb, a novel in utero, Eric D. Goodman. Thank you very much, Gregg. I didn't expect all that. You did your research. So, when I first moved to Baltimore, Gregg was one of the first people that I met in the local literary community. And it was in large part due to Gregg that I got involved. I came out of my writing
fortress of solitude and started mingling with other writers and getting involved, which I recommend to anyone who is still writing in solitude because it makes a world of difference. So thank you, Gregg, very much for tonight's introduction and also for introducing me to the literary community all those years ago. We won't say how many, well, you already said how many. We did meet at the Baltimore Book Festival. That's how I knew about the writing workshop. So, oh, and I also want to thank Judy Cooper for inviting me to have my launch here. I'm a big fan of the Enoch Pratt, so I'm thrilled to be here as part of the Writer's Life series. So thank you. And just to kind of back up Gregg's words about the success, there's a whole sea of people here. I never thought I'd be speaking in front of this many people. Just kidding. It's hard to get people to support the literary arts, so I want to thank everybody who came out for being here to support my writing and the library and the local literary scene in general. So thanks for being here. So Womb was born out of my desire to come up with the most unusual, weirdest, strangest narrator I could think of. I don't want to set it up too much because I think the writing should speak for itself, but you know, some books I think and some stories they start out with a plot or with a character, but this one definitely started with an idea and then everything else grew out of that. And that idea was simply just what would it be like to see the world from inside in a whole new way. So I'm going to start with just the first short introduction here, which comes right at the very beginning. Imagine the kinetic spark of awareness, the jolting burst of heartbeat, the refreshing breath of air to virgin lungs. A moment ago, you knew nil. You didn't exist. Now you know all. You are here and you want to stay. Sensations pulse throughout your fresh body. You can feel each individual cell strengthening the whole. You know what others have forgotten, and you want to share it. If you can communicate with others, you can save them from their follies. Save your parents and loved ones. Perhaps save the world. The knowledge is simple, but it is everything. How do you get to the crossroads where the connection vanishes, but keep that awareness intact so you can enlighten others? Welcome to my world. Before I continue in the book, I would like to address what I consider to be the nutshell in the room. Some of you may have heard that last fall, Ian McEwan published his latest novel, the British author, and it's called Nutshell. It also is a novel in utero. So I've been asked a few times whether that book inspired Womb. No, it didn't. In fact, I was very disappointed when I heard about it, because what are the odds of, after 10 years of working off and on this book, that someone else with that reputation and caliber would come out with a book from the same point of view. I do have proof that I started Womb before Ian McEwan's book came out, and I'd like to enter Exhibit A. This is a short piece of flash fiction that was excerpted from an early draft of Womb that was published in the May 2008 issue of the Potomac. And you can find it online, so I'm not making this up. This is called Small Places. He stretches, but only for a moment, and then pulls back into his comfortable arch. He rests in an embryonic embrace of himself, content within his well-fitted place. Mom thinks the house is too big. The apartment was smaller, more crowded. It was more cramped, but more comfortable. There was less space to stray, less room in the tiny apartment to fill with bitterness. The house they are in now, like the world around it, is too spacious to be comfortable. But the mortgage is more affordable than the rising rent, despite the compounded interest of bittersweet memories within it. He can feel what Mom feels. He knows her thoughts. They're in his blood, as though he's a part of her. He is a part of her, after all. And he agrees with her. Not about everything. Not about smoking or drinking. But he agrees with her about ice cream and pickles, about buttermilk and cookies, about sleep and soft music. He agrees that the house is too big. He hasn't seen it with his own eyes yet, but he feels her uneasiness within it, and he knows she would be better off in a smaller place. He floats in fluid, content in his sack. He is at the start of life, not even in his own life yet, but he is wise. Wise enough to know that he needs nothing more than the little bit he has to be happy. His own knowledge is something forgotten by people after they're born and grown, reared in big open spaces. He doesn't want a bigger place. Great comfort rests in small spaces. So now I'll dive back into the womb here. This is the first chapter from the final draft of the womb. It takes forever to take a drink when you're speaking in front of a group. We're smarter than you think we are, we youngest of the young. We're more aware than grown-ups realize. We have an innate knowledge that adults are no longer consciously in touch with. Call it the collective consciousness, greater enlightenment, being one with God. Call it what you will. Humans are all connected by this common knowledge in the beginning. It isn't until later that the connection fades. If you're old enough to read this, chances are you're skeptical. But it is true. We may not be able to communicate our wisdom, but it's there as sure as I am here. We haven't developed physically, but our awareness, the essence of who we are, is something within our undeveloped bodies from the start. We're not able to walk, not able to talk. We can't use a fork or tell you what we want, but we're little philosophers. You'd be amazed at how much adults forget in the quest to learn. Degrees and decorations, the greatest breakthroughs in science and philosophy. These are faint echoes of what each and every person already knows at the start. I know things about myself that even my own parents don't know. I knew who I was before they even considered me a possibility. They still think of me as unknowing, unaware. They have no idea. I've observed things about my parents that they don't know about themselves. For example, they need to relax. They're searching for some future life so intensely that they don't seem to realize they've already arrived. If I could communicate with them, I could help them, I think. Give them some advice. In a few years, I'll physically be able to talk. I just hope I can keep the thread from weakening. The connection is more fragile than an infant's head, and easier to sever than an umbilical cord. Forgive me if I come off as a bit of a know-it-all, but I kind of am. It's after we're born that wisdom begins to drain away. Soon after, we shed all but a dreamy shadow of our enhanced awareness. The more self-conscious we become, the less aware we are of the universe around us. Not long after the umbilical cord is severed, so too is our association with the greater consciousness. As parents mold us, our own molds, the essence of who we are, loosen. We're instructed to focus on ourselves, and we begin to lose innate understanding of the universe. In becoming individuals, we shed the better part of our humanity. Adults have the best of intentions, teaching us to fit in to a world where the self is more important than the community. As we learn to crawl and babble, to eat and spit, to walk and talk, we forget what we once knew, that the whole is more important than any piece. We become more attached to our physical bodies than our souls. As we enter the larger world, we exit a greater one. We no longer maintain the strength to meditate on the universal. Important ideas are lost in the struggle to suck the nipple, to grasp our toes, hold the spoon, dress ourselves. For some, it's a sudden loss. The stress of childbirth can be enough to vanquish all memory of previous existence. Great thoughts are often left behind in the womb, only to be expelled with the placenta. The blinding light of the outside world, this womb you call Earth, is shock enough to block out everything. The clamping and cutting of the cord can cut us from our memory. Intuition may be washed away as the nurse gives us our first bath. For others, the shedding is more gradual, forgetting just a little bit with each lesson learned, each skill acquired, every baby step taken, until by the time we're able to speak, We have no memory of what we wanted to say, just an elusive inkling of something missing, like a dream you thought you remembered until you tried to put it into words. I know what you must be thinking, but don't be too quick to dismiss my words without your own personal memory of the womb. You must be enlightened to pass judgment on enlightenment. We lose what we know in the same way that adults lose their desire to play, to pretend, to get lost in imagination. Most adults have forgotten the immense joy of simple play, of pretending you were the hero or the villain, adventuring through the woods or hiding and seeking. You can remember doing it. You might even still play with your kids. You remember it was fun. But stop. Think. Is there ever anything or any time in your life that brought as much joy as playing make-believe with your friends when you were a child? And yet, no matter how hard you try, you'll surely find it impossible to recapture that feeling. Go ahead, romp through the forest to proclaim that you're Robin Hood, Matilda, Indiana Jones, Huckleberry Finn, or the hero of your taste. I suspect you're more likely to feel foolish than giddy. I'm certain that it's still there. It's all within you. All your memories, dialogues, and thoughts, they're within your mind. Everything you've experienced and known is recorded there, like outdated cassettes in the attic. It's locked away, and the map to the key's location is hidden behind that locked door. Once the door is sealed, it's next to impossible to budge it open. It creaks open on its own terms. Dreams drift from that sealed-off area. Sudden memories, long lost, come at odd times from the crack beneath the door. Look up at the ceiling while contemplating a subject, and a feeling, or thought, or memory might rise up. I'd forgotten all about that, you'll say. Perhaps the memory once rediscovered will remain yours. Maybe it will meander back into that locked-away attic of your subconscious. Stick with me, and maybe you'll recall your own memory of the womb. Whether it's at 1 month or 1 year old, we squander the greatest lessons, the one we were taught before, the ones we knew before being taught. We just close the doors and misplace the keys at different times. I use the all-inclusive we. I'll resist the temptation to let go. I'm determined to get through childhood with my awareness intact. It's the only way to teach my parents and the world that a greater existence lies within us than without. That true enlightenment comes from helping others, not ourselves. I want to teach people to remember the important things and to let go of what doesn't matter. The truth is, this is what we have, here and now, and we should enjoy it, because it will be over before we know it. When you know enlightenment, there are no longer any questions, no more worries or depression, only peace. The knowledge we have in the womb would make a world of difference if delivered to the outside world. I can feel Mom restlessly striving for something she believes is out of reach. Like so many adults, she just never stops for peace and quiet. If she would stop and listen, she'd find that what she's looking for is right here within her. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Before I share my hopes for the future, I should probably tell you a little about my past. Mine is a short history. I haven't been born yet. See you in the first chapter.